Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I once had somebody ask me if I was ever in a bad mood. This is Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Welcome back to another episode of the Networking RX. Yes, I had somebody ask me if I was ever in a bad mood. And I had to laugh at that. I laughed out loud. I'm sure if my wife is listening to this, she's laughing, and my kids are laughing, my parents are laughing, friends who know me well are laughing. Yeah, I'm human. I think we're all human. We all have bad days. I know I have bad days. I get caught in a rut. There's lots of little things, but yeah, I get caught out of sorts. But I think the reason this person was asking this question is, as much as I have bad days, just like anybody else, I try and, to the extent I can, just silo it. And there are certainly some tactics to doing that. And I think it's important that we do that because, as much as we do have bad days, we don't want that to become a part of our brand. And I'm not advocating that we be anything but authentic, but you can be authentic without being totally revealing of everything you are and everything that's going on in your life. So some of the things I do to kind of, if you will, inoculate myself from bringing my bad days out or not having bad days at all. The first thing is, certainly doing the things that make me less vulnerable or susceptible to these bad moods. I try to get an adequate, try to speak too. I try to get an adequate amount of sleep. I wear a Fitbit. I wear it 24/7, except for showers. Too much information, I get it. But I wear it when I sleep. And my goal is to get 7 hours of sleep every night. Now, some people say, well, that's not enough. I've read somewhere between 6 to 8 hours is, what an adult should be getting. And I've shot for 7 hours, and that seems to work for me. I'm up really early. I have things going on into the evening, so 7 hours is a reasonable compromise. But that's my goal. And sometimes I don't hit that goal. Lots of times I don't hit that goal, and I can kind of feel it pulling at my attitude. You get tired. That's when you get cranky. It's human nature. There's a biological explanation for it. I'm not going to get into that. But you need to get an adequate amount of sleep and determine, make sure you get sleep. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. Drive your car somewhere, pull over, crank the seat back, 20-minute power nap, whatever you need. But work on certainly getting enough rest. Eating well. I think eating well is important. This is not a nutrition podcast. There are lots of great nutrition podcasts, a lot of great nutrition books out there. But when you're eating like crap. McDonald's, 3 meals a day. Nothing against McDonald's, but 3 meals a day isn't going to cut it. You need to eat well. And I know I feel better when I'm eating better. It's just if I go through a phase or a period of time where it's a lot of junk around the holidays maybe, I can kind of feel how it just kind of doesn't make me feel my best. Same thing with exercise. I try and get a reasonable amount of exercise every day. I do a lot of walking and talking with my wife. I think that certainly helps. And certainly having a sense of purpose, knowing, there's a reason for me to get out of bed and to be at work. And that drives me, that makes me happy. I don't know that I was happy when I was working in the corporate environment. No, I know I wasn't happy. I didn't have a sense of purpose other than just to make money, and that's not really a purpose. So those are certainly a few things you can do to kind of prevent the bad moods from starting to begin with. But even if there's a bad mood that's there, it's something going on in my life, and I do have those periods. I think we all have those periods where lots are going on. You've got things with parents, you've got things with kids. Everything seems to be broken, so on and so forth. And it feels like the world's conspiring against you. I think we've all been there. I know, I'm reasonably certain I'm not alone. But I still need to function. I still need to get out there in public. And what I'll try and do is I'll try and put it in a box, compartmentalize it, just put it on the shelf. I can get back to being disappointed, angry, whatever it might be. But in the moment where I need to be out with people, I need to kind of just put that aside. I can wallow later. I can commiserate later. But as I'm functioning and interacting with people, I'm not going to allow that out to the extent I can, and I failed on that. I have to admit I have failed on that. I think we all have. But I try and keep that compartmentalized, and that's why that person would say, well, geez, why are you always happy? Do you ever have a bad day? Yeah, I do. I'm having one, I could say I'm having one now, but you're just not privy to it. And I think that's an important thing. And again, it's not being inauthentic. It's just choosing to show what side of authenticity you want to show is really what it boils down to. So what we have are two things. One, make sure on the front end you're doing the right things, getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising. And then when you do have bad days, kind of compartmentalizing. And a third thing that you can do is certainly allow for feedback. I think where we run into problems from time to time is where we're having those moments we're kind of cranky, kind of stressed, and we may not be self-aware of it, but other people are. Mary, my assistant, is somebody that I feel I can turn to and say, hey, is this too harsh? And she'll be honest with me. Yeah, maybe you want to tone this down. And I think that's certainly important feedback. My wife will be be more direct in giving me that sort of feedback, but it's important to have that feedback there, because we can let ourselves slowly get out of sorts. One day we're a 10, then we're a 9.5, a 9, 8.8, and it slowly drifts down to we're a 6, and we don't even know that we're at a 6, but other people can certainly see it. So it's nice to be able to have those people who can step forward and say, hey, time out. You're not optimal. You need to tone down who you are. You need to put that in a box. You need to get some sleep. Go for a walk, whatever it might be. So that would be the third thing that you can do to try and contain your bad mood, if you will. Another thing that you can do, a fourth thing that you can do, is kind of be intentional about it. Be on the offensive as far as being in a good mood. I try and infect myself, not a great word, but with positive things. For those who are not familiar, I put out a second podcast, a micro podcast, the Networking RX Minute, and it's just one little minute inspiration, advice, and you can listen to it pretty much anywhere that you would listen to a regular podcast, saying you can get it through this podcast venue. You can get it to play on your Alexa devices, on your smart devices as well. But part of the reason I put that together is it forces me almost daily to kind of look at things that are positive, things that are inspirational. And I do kind of keep a file of different things, and it's just my way of sharing those. But it's a great way to kind of keep your bad mood in check, if you will, is to feed your mind with great little things, great little insights. Just remind yourself that you really have lots to be grateful for. Remind yourself that, yeah, you might be having a bad day. You might feel like a bad day, but maybe it's just a bad moment, or maybe there's something good about it. But that's kind of the other thing to kind of help you do a good job for keeping your bad moods in check, compartmentalizing, or I guess in this situation, just making sure it doesn't manifest itself. And then the fifth thing, which is kind of the last and final thing that you can do with respect to your mood, if for some reason or other you can't get your mind to where it needs to be, you can't compartmentalize, you can't get to sleep, just, things are bad and you can't put that mood aside, just stay away from people. just stay away. Stay off the phone. Stay off of email. If you have to email to yourself and let yourself review it. Email, set it to go out 24 hours later. Give yourself a chance to read it. But do those sorts of things. But don't expose that portion of yourself to people until you can kind of get it in check. And again, it's not about not being authentic. It's about choosing as to what piece of your authenticity you want to share. Because again, networking is about people getting to know you, like you, and trust you. And to do that, you want them to have the very, very best of you. And sometimes the very, very best of you is hard to find. And that's okay. But in those situations, you need to do the things to either put it aside or get the very, very best of you coming out. Finally, to wrap up, remember AmSpirit Business Connections. We have a franchise opportunity. It involves helping small businesses become more successful. It's geared for successful entrepreneurs, sales reps, professionals, people like you to add on to what they're already doing. So not only can you continue doing what it is you're doing, but you can operate this franchise opportunity, help you build a side income, help you build a network. If you're interested, shoot me an email. There's an email in the show notes, or we provide one at the end of the podcast, which is now.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.